Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Marlene and I talk about my own recovery story and everything related to healing the relationship with your own body, with food and with movement. And let's dive right into the topic as we always do. And today I want to talk about giving up on recovery, feeling stuck in recovery, because believe it or not, this is something that probably everyone is going through. When I was in recovery, there were so many points where I actually felt like it's never gonna get better, I'm in pain, I hate my body, I'm never gonna be able to accept myself, all these kind of things. And actually this is oftentimes the point where clients come to me. Most of the clients I work with come to me when they already started recovery, but they feel kind of stuck and they feel like this is still not it. I'm like kind of better, but I'm also not, because I dislike my body more and I have issues to cope with my changing body and I have issues to still eat, especially for people who gained weight and then felt like, oh, maybe I'm weight restored. Most of my clients don't weigh themselves and I actually encourage them not to weigh themselves. But for a lot of people, it is hard when they know that they physically changed to still allow themselves to eat. And I certainly had those feelings. There were nights where I was just up watching recovery content, which is actually the main reason why I make these videos now, because I know how motivating it was for me to see that other people went through the same thing, but that they overcame this point. And this is why I'm telling you right now. I did go through the same thing. I had a long time in my recovery where I didn't want to recover, where I wanted to go back, where I thought I will never be happy again. I will never have what my eating disorder gave me. And that was when I already started recovery. And here I am, a few years later, fully recovered, and it didn't take me a few years. It actually took me maybe 1 year. And this can be longer or shorter for people. There are people out there who take longer to get to this point. There are people out there where it doesn't take as long. But the fact is, you will get there as long as you stick with recovery. So here I am a couple of years later, and I couldn't be happier. I am so glad to live a recovered life. I am so thankful that I chose recovery. The only thing I really regret is that I didn't start recovery earlier. So this is your sign to not wait, because you know, deep down you know that your eating disorder is not what you want. Deep down you know that you want to live a free life, but you are so afraid of choosing recovery, which is super understandable. But sooner or later you have to make this decision, and I tell you right now, as soon as you reach the point of full recovery, you're gonna regret that you didn't make this decision earlier. I did regret it, and I know nobody who said, I'm so happy that I stayed in my eating disorder longer. No one ever said that. Everyone is like, I'm so glad that I recovered, but I wish I made this decision earlier. So that being said, the majority of people I work with, at least once or twice, say things like, I think recovery is not for me. What if I'm never gonna be able to recover? What if I'm gonna hate my body forever? I just can't believe that I will always be able to accept myself. Well, first of all, your brain is in a temporary state of change, and your brain is still wired with your eating disorder thoughts. So you might take action to change things, which is amazing, but your brain actually takes way longer. So it is just natural that you might still have those disordered thoughts, but you have to continue taking those healthy steps in order for your brain to rewire. This is the main reason why it takes so long. Your body changes way faster than your brain does. The second point is that for a lot of people, their recovery body is not their recovered body. And I don't want to emphasize anything like, oh, the overshoot weight will go down, or, because we never know that. And this shouldn't be the focus. I don't want you to wait for the overshoot weight to go down, because you don't know if you're an overshoot weight or not. And yes, it might go down and it might not. And this is not the point. You can still come to a point where you can accept your body, even if you're not an overshoot weight, and even if this is the body you're gonna stay in. And I know that this will sound very, very scary for a lot of people, but I can also tell you that this has a lot to do with your brain that still needs rewiring. So you don't know the outcome, but you know that if you stick with recovery, that you will recover. And recover does not mean getting back to a skinnier body because your overshoot weight got down. Recovery means, or being recovered means, that you can accept yourself the way you are, that you can eat regardless, that you don't restrict anymore or don't make up for anything, And that if you want to, which is of course not a must, you can learn to move your body with joy again and not punish your body and not overdo it. But in order to get there, you have to stick with it. And one thing that I actually realized this morning is that we constantly are in situations in our life where we can't really control the outcome the way we want to, but we kind of have to stick with it. I give you an example, and that might sound silly for some people, but I started YouTube about maybe 6 months ago, and at the beginning, I didn't get a lot of views. It felt like I'm sharing my story and I'm like literally sharing my deepest secrets and my deepest and darkest times, and nobody would really listen. And yes, I could have stopped back then. And yes, I could have been like, oh, nobody wants to listen to me. Maybe it's my face. Maybe I'm not pretty enough for YouTube. Maybe it's my accent. Maybe it's the little mistakes I make when I speak English. You know, I could have found all those reasons. And I gotta be honest, there were some days where I found those reasons. And I am lucky enough to have a very, very supportive partner who also does social media and who was like, no, it's none of that. You just have to give it time. You literally just started. It takes time. Please continue. And so I did. And my channel is still not huge, but I'm grateful for every single subscriber. I'm grateful for every single view. And I'm more than grateful for all the messages I get, all the questions. It shows me that we're creating a community here. And I'd rather have a small community where everyone feels safe and seen than a huge community that is kind of toxic. What I'm trying to say here is you have to stick with the things you want to do. And even though recovery sometimes might not feel like you want to do it, there might be some days where you're like, yes, I want to recover because I don't want to feel miserable again. But there might also be days where you're like, I don't want to do recovery. There were also days where I was like, I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to stand in front of the camera and talk. I don't want to do it anymore. But I did. And I'm not a huge fan of this hustle mentality where it's like, oh, you have to hustle and you have to go through everything that makes you feel bad and you have to, to work and do the work. But that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that every one of us was already faced in the life with situations or will be faced with situations that they kind of know they have to go through in order to come where they want to come to. And for me, this is of course not only YouTube. It was the same thing with my green card. There was so much paperwork, there were so many interviews, there was so much money to pay. I didn't want to do all of this. I didn't want to go from one appointment to another and get interviewed and fill out paperwork and go take photos and pay a large amount of money. It wasn't really fun, but I did it and I was motivated and inspired because I wanted to get my green card so badly. Same thing with my master's degree. It wasn't always fun to sit down and write my master's thesis or to do the interviews or to learn for exams. But I wanted to get my master's degree. So yes, there are times in life that suck. Let's just say it as it is. And recovery is of course not a master's degree and is of course not a YouTube channel. I really don't try to invalidate this. But what I'm trying to say is, once you are recovered, I can promise you your outview on life will change. First of all, it will change in terms of how you see food. I get so excited about food in a healthy way just because I am so grateful that I can finally eat. And even though I've been recovered for a while, I still remember what it was like to be caught up in an eating disorder. I told my boyfriend once, like when we go somewhere, he's always very concerned that I don't find anything that I like or maybe that they don't have vegetarian options. And I told him before, and I always say it again, babe, I'm so excited to be able to eat. I'm so excited that I don't get freaked out, that I don't even have to look at the menu before. We can just go wherever and I promise you I will find something. I'm not a picky eater and I am really excited to be able to eat, and I'm so thankful that I went through recovery. And also, like, apart from food, recovery definitely changes your views on life. I am so grateful for so many things that kind of have to do with my recovery because I know I wouldn't have been able to do it if I wouldn't have been recovered. If it's like working out, traveling, spontaneously going out with friends, or all the other things I'm doing in my life, none of those things would be possible for me if I wouldn't have chosen recovery. So recovery will definitely make you more resilient. It will make you proud, even though you might not feel proud at the moment, because when you're in recovery, you're oftentimes ashamed. That must not be the case, but for a lot of people, it's like, I don't even know if I want to be healthy, I'm kind of ashamed. And I just mentioned that because all those feelings are very common. And that doesn't mean that recovery is not for you. These are common feelings that I had in my recovery too. But there was a point where it just changed and where my brain finally rewired. And now I literally do everything to never go back to that place. We went for breakfast this morning, and it was actually the first time since I'm in a relationship with my boyfriend that we went somewhere and I really didn't like the food because it was just like way too salty. And I still ate a good amount of it just because I knew, well, this is going to be a long day. I need the energy. And it was not like, it was not bad. But I didn't really enjoy the food. I wasn't mad. I wasn't like, this is a wasted meal, because these are thoughts that I would have during my eating disorder. If I already choose to consume calories, it has to be perfect. No meal is actually perfect for me anymore, and that's more than fine. So what I'm trying to say is, sticking with recovery can be so hard. Your brain will find a billion reasons to go back to your eating disorder. Your brain will find a billion reasons why not to recover. You might go through the hardest time of your life, and it might feel like you're never going to be happy again. But I can't promise you, as long as you stick with recovery, there will come the point in your life where you never want to go back again, and where you can finally enjoy a recovered life. I really hope that helps and inspires you guys. And as every time, please let me know in the comments how you like this video, but also if you have anything else that you would like me to cover. I am definitely gonna get better to get back on my schedule and create more long-form videos for you. I had a crazy couple of weeks, but in a very good way. But I know that there are still some questions of yours that I didn't answer yet, but I promise you I'll take a look at all of them and I'll make videos about them. And yes, if you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already did this. And also, if you know someone who might want to see this video, please feel free to share it with them, because that really helps to grow my channel. And my goal with this channel is to reach as many people as possible who might go through the same thing and who might need some help or some motivation in their recovery. And one last thing, if you feel like you need a little bit more support and you would be interested in coaching with me, I currently have a few spots open, so feel free to comment here, reach out on my social media, Instagram, TikTok, the name is everywhere, Heal with Marlene. You can also go to my website, sign up for my free newsletter, or shoot me a text and we can schedule a free discovery call just to see if we're a good fit. And if we're not a good fit, that's more than fine. Maybe we can find someone else to work with you. And otherwise, I will see you in the next one.